Welcome back to Meet the Ministers. My guest on the program this evening is the member for Mulgrave, Curtis Pitt. Politics is a very busy career. It takes up a lot of your time. You've got a very young baby, so like just getting up to about 2 months old.
Mm-hmm.
Puts a lot of pressure on your family. You must have a very supportive wife, and obviously your parents know all about life and politics and what's required to enable you to get out there on the playing field as such, in a condition to be at your best. How do you give that back to your family? I mean, it's a lot of time spent travelling back and forth. What do you do in your time off? You have to make sure that you have some time available to your family every week.
I think you're no good to anybody if you're not happy. And I think what makes me the happiest is spending time with my family. So I make sure that I bank some time to do that. It's so important. And I then figure I can be far better by way of whatever contribution I'm making. It is difficult having a young family. There's no good time sometimes to be in a certain position, but there may be better times. It's certainly full of challenges. I don't get a lot of sleep, I'll be frank. But at the end of the day, I'm lucky I sort of can bank sleep and catch up if I need to.
Yeah.
But the travel in itself can take it out of you. But spending time with my family is the best thing I can possibly do. I often say, if I'm having a vacation, that I want to take a holiday to somewhere I never get to go, and that's my lounge room. So from that point of view, it's a nice thing.
Yeah. Is it one of those things that politicians always understand that that's always going to be something that we as a group find difficult? Do politicians deal with that in different ways? Is there a formula that's suggested to you that might work for you very early in your career, do you think?
There's nothing formulaic about politics, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Some people might argue the point on that, but I think people approach it in different ways. Some people are extraordinarily private and they shield their families completely from the glare. I take the other approach. I'm elected as a local member of Parliament because of who I am, and who I am is also my family. I don't parade them out or anything like that, but I involve them in as many things as I can because that's who I am. You can't separate Curtis Pitt, the politician, from Curtis Pitt, the family bloke. So I mean, that's who I am, and they're such an important part of my life. And all of those big decisions you need to make in life, they start at home. You get those things from your family. I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive wife. Not only my wife but my best friend. We've been married 11 years this year. Yep. Having gone through the things we've gone through, sometimes those strains can actually tear people apart, or they'll bring you closer together. We've always been very close, but thankfully we got brought closer together, and I couldn't do my job without the support of my wife and my family because they're such a huge part of it.
You're probably better situated than most to know what it was that you were getting yourself into.
I think you're right. I went with eyes wide open, and I do actually get worried sometimes when people put their name on a ballot, which I still think is one of the most, the bravest things you can do, because people talk a lot but they don't put their name forward.
Yeah.
But so I respect anybody, no matter what side of politics you're on, for actually stepping in and having a go. But you do have to know what you're getting into, and I think sometimes the job can be very different from the outside looking in from actually doing the job. So. I was pretty aware, and even knowing all of that, I still wanted to do it.
You're pretty active in a sporting sense growing up. You still get on the bike, or we know that you get on the bike, you still pick up a tennis racket, throw down a few hoops every now and then?
Look, I've played tennis since I was about 4 years old. Growing up, I played rugby league and cricket. And at one stage, you've got to decide what sport you want to play.
Yeah.
My mum was a great tennis player, and that was the sport I was best at. But I had a choice of playing footy with a bunch of my mates, or going and playing tennis, and it included mixed doubles. I thought that was a better option, to be honest. But no, I've played a lot of sport during my life, and I think it's very important. You want to talk about preventative health as being one of the most important things you can do. I think you've got to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Music, entertainment, arts and culture. How do you engage yourself in that sense? I'm a drummer.
Are you really?
So I've been a drummer since I was in about grade 6 at school, and for many years I didn't do it, and found myself tapping on the steering wheel and doing all those things you do when you've got no other outlet. But 30th birthday, my wife bought me. Well, she didn't pay for the whole thing, but she put a down payment on
nice
a
drum kit can
on
be
a digital drum kit.
Yeah.
And but it's great because you can actually play this with your headphones on.
Yeah.
I think so many young people actually give up playing the drums or learning them because they can't muffle the sound, they can't mute it, and their neighbours complain and they get discouraged. But if you can go in any time, day or night, and go and make as much noise in your own ears as you can and not bother anybody, it's a great way to express yourself, and it's a great way to get better at the instrument that you've chosen. So I love it. It's it's probably steered my musical taste. I always look for the bands with the best drummers. And
I was going to say, who's your favourite drummer? That'll give us an insight into your soul, Curtis.
Oh, that's an easy one, David Grohl.
Yeah.
Even though he's now the front man for the Foo Fighters, I mean, I'll never forget the work he did on with the Styx with Nirvana. It's iconic.
And that would, I guess, give us an insight into the type of music that you're listening to as well.
Oh, part of it.
Yeah.
I think I've got pretty eclectic taste. I go from Motown to grunge rock to you got to have some pop in there as well. I love classical music too. I don't try to pigeonhole my musical taste at all. I think that's what the great thing about music. You can actually have something for all occasions, and whatever your mood you're in, or what you're feeling, you'll always find something there that'll fill the gap.
We're getting towards the end of our time. Is it too early to start thinking about your succession? I mean, you've only been in the member for a couple of years now and in Parliament since earlier this year. Do you already have an idea in your head where you might be in 15, 20 years' time, or are you planning on a career in politics? Of course, nobody gets to make that decision other than the people who are going to be voting for you anyway. Where do you see yourself in say, 20 years' time?
Well, I've got to interview for my job every 3 years,
Yep.
and so that's the cycle you work towards. But as I said before, I think you work hard, and you're doing what you do and trying to do that well, and the rest of it is out of your control. I want to be doing this job as long as people will have me doing it as their local representative. At the end of the day, they say that people, by and large, get it right with the vote, and pretty hard to argue with that. Sometimes you don't like the decision, but that's what you've got to contend with. But look, I've got other interests. I didn't come into this job seeking to be a career politician. I really love what I'm doing, and I'm there at a great time. So many changes happening, particularly in my local area, where it takes in the growth corridor of Far North Queensland, and I'm there on the ground floor, and so many projects that are going to be in the 20 to 30 year time frame. But ultimately, you want to be involved in anything where you're making a difference, and if it's not politics, it'll be something else.
And Curtis Pitt, I wish you good luck for that.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for joining me. You've been watching Meet the Ministers. My name is Shaun Bindley. I look forward to joining you again next week.